Hi there, and welcome to Saving Ophelia. My name is Thijs, and this is Ophelia, or more correctly, a digital approximation of her. Today I'm going to have a look at a new design for deckhouse, and I'll explain what I'm looking to do with the new design and exactly why I need this new design. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to end up doing several revisions before I actually start cutting and welding steel, but you got to start somewhere. The tool I'm using is Fusion 360, just as the other times. It's made by Autodesk, and I'll do my best to explain any new steps or procedures in the work process along the way. The first thing I did was to import yet another drawing as a canvas. So let's just hide this component and show the canvas. A new drawing isn't quite right. It's a new piece of a drawing that I've already been using. You might be able to recognize this piece up here. And this drawing shows the cockpit with the footwell and 3 hatches, the front hatch here, the butterfly hatch at the center, and the aft hatch leading to the lazarette, which is really just a steel plate, waterproof and hatch-like, but still just a steel plate. And it also shows the deck prisms here. And I'll recreate this first before I start doing a new design. It's not quite current. The hatch up here is different, and I suspect that both this hatch and these ones have been changed in regards to this drawing. I'm not entirely sure about this, but anyways, I'll recreate this and then I'll start doing a new design, and I'll do the new design parametrically so that I can change it easily and don't have to redraw everything. But I'll show you as we get along how that's going to work. As I said, I'll start out by recreating this drawing here in the digital version, and I'm going to do that in the exact same way that I got the whole shape into the drawing, so not a lot of new stuff to see there. Oh, there is one thing though, because I had to do a workaround the last time where I created inserted a canvas, and then I couldn't access that canvas from the existing sketches, and I had to create a new sketch. But that's really not necessary, because I can take this is where I inserted the new canvas, and I can actually just take it and move it back here in the timeline. And for all intents and purposes, this has now been created earlier than everything else, and that means that it's accessible from all sketches. So now I can get going. You can see on this drawing that there's been some sketching done. It's kind of hand drawn here. We have the outline of the deck house and the prisms over here, but you also have something here that's a bit, it's been hand drawn. It's the teak structure on top of the house with the entrance to the companionway and the companionway stairs here. And there isn't a lot of detail really, but you can just see that it's there. So I'll start by drawing up this outline here and use that to create the deck house. So that was the outlines on the sketch. You can see them here. They're all enclosed areas. I highlight when I hit them right with the mouse, but sometimes it's slightly tricky to do that. But anyways, it's possible. Let's get that Why is that center line still showing up? Probably shouldn't. Well, doesn't matter too much. As I did the other times, I'll extrude these to have some solid shapes, and I think I'm going to make them pretty big because it's easier to cut things away than create something afterwards. So let's do that. There we go. Now let's see. We need that component showing, the one, the actual deck. Do that one. And then I'm going to remove what I'm definitely not going to need. And that would be the target. That would be the tool. I'll need a cut. There we go. I need to keep the tools and I'll modify the existing component. There we go. And then we get to one of the tricks I haven't shown before. Well, we do have a bit of a mess back here. At any rate, what I can do now is create a new sketch. And I can do that here, create sketch. And if you can see it from this perspective, if I go here, I'm going to create the sketch on this surface, which means that it's going to be aligned with this surface. And well, other than that, it's going to be an exact, well, just an ordinary sketch, really. So, right click, create sketch, there we go. And then I can start drawing. I'm now in my new sketch. And that would allow me to do, put in a line from here to, yeah, now I just need the mouse to catch up. There we go. And I'm guessing that this hatch was kind of, well, it would have a slanted top as well, not just in this direction, but in this direction here as well. That should be what this line is indicating. So let's see if we can't recreate that. And it does look as if this edge was slightly rounded or something. I'm not going to recreate that. So let's start shaping this hatch here. And I'm going to extend this line just a bit. And, oh, silly me. I don't want a box. I want a line. And again, the objective is to create an object that's larger than what I'm trying to cut away, which I messed up again here. I'm going for this first because, well, that's going to give me the upper point. Let's see if we turn around here. Then I'm going to cut off here, and that would give me that edge up there, and then I can create the other one after that. So, finish sketch. I want to extrude this surface, and I want to extrude it, there we go, that way. And I could actually just cut right now, other than create an object and then cut. So I'm going to do that. And obviously that left me with a bit here, which I'm going to have to do something about. So I'm going to undo that. And then I'm going to select this surface and that surface, and then I'm going to extrude and go for cut that way. There we go. See, that already gives us the basic shape. I think I'm going to do that with the other ones as well. There we go. That should be a fairly decent approximation of Ophelia's deck layout a la 1969, which, bar a few details, aren't too far off the current layout. The only real thing missing here is the gunwale, but that's fairly quickly remedied. I'll bring out the gunwale object, have it here. You might notice that I renamed a lot of objects, but anyways, gunwale out, hide the hull, hide the bodies, and then I'll use the shell functionality here to create, well, a very thin shell really. I select the faces that need to go or be carved away. That's the top and the bottom. And then I'll set the thickness of the shell to 4 millimeters, because we know that the steel in the gunwale should be around 3 to 4 millimeters. And there we go. We have the gunwale in place. I can bring out the hull object and the bodies, and there we go. That should actually look pretty much the same as the real deal. Well, if it had the same layout as it had in 1969. So the next step is going to be a quick draft of the new deck house, but with Ophelia's lines being as elegant as they are, why would I mess about by changing the deck house instead of just, well, I don't know, recreate the current deck house in a waterproof all steel version? Well, first off, in my opinion, Ophelia's lines are to a higher degree defined by the line of the gunwale and the outline of the hull than they are by anything else really. So I don't think I run the risk of messing them up too badly. Secondly, Ophelia was built when people were slightly shorter than they are today, so headroom below deck is quite lacking in the saloon area. Yeah. The main reason for changing the house is really here. You can see there's very little standing height. I have about, well, a good guess would be about 1.80 m here, because, well, I'm 1.80 m. So what's that? 6 feet, I think. And that's not a lot. And that would be here right under the butterfly hatch. So yeah, I would like to widen this a bit and then raise it. And that comes back to another thing. I also like to widen the walkable surface here. It's very narrow. It's about 1 meter, bit more perhaps. And I'd like to widen that. The only way to do that is by raising it a bit off the floor, which then means that we run into the problem with the low ceiling height here. So I can solve both of those things by raising the ceiling. That means extending the house forward. And that will mean the new house, if I keep the same width as the old house, it will come about here on either side. And that means the only parts with low roof would be here, which isn't going to be a problem because it's probably going to be lockers or something like that anyway. So yeah, then I have to find out what I want to do with those prisms here, because they're really nice, and I could possibly move them out right next to the lockers and right next to the house walls, but I guess we'll see about that. So changing the house really comes down to comfort, and testing the design parameters parametrically seems like the smart thing to do, as I'm quite likely to have to do more than a few revisions. But what is this parametric thing that I've been babbling about? Well, so far I've just been drawing lines like the outline of the hull and, well, the deck structures by transferring them from the photos of the drawing via the sketches I've inserted as canvases, and then they'd end up whatever length they have when they are resized to fit the length of the boat. And when you use parametric design, then the lines are defined off one another, or maybe a set variable that when you change this variable, you change the length of the lines. Or if you change a line, then every other line that's dependent on it will adapt and everything will still fit together. And the main parameters for the new house is going to be the width of the house, the length of the house, and the height. And for a start at least, I'd like the width of the new house to match the width of the old house. So I'll start by finding the line that defines this width. I'll start by hiding the bodies. Yeah, that doesn't sound sinister at all. And bring out the sketches. Because if I'm not entirely mistaken, then this line in here defines the width of the house, because this one over here is basically just a mirror. And well, I'll change that then. Edit sketch, move things so I can see what I'm doing, and then choose the sketch dimension. See, that brings out the line, the length of the line, and well, it's just some random number because I haven't set it. It was just defined when I drew the line. But what I can then do is that I can insert, well, type really, old house. Really, it should probably be half. Old house, half width. And then it has this number. That means that it's now got a name, which means, well, I can reference it with other lines. And let's close this down. Hide the sketches, finish sketch. The canvases show the body, the hull, gunwale, and then refit. There we go. Now I have that line, and I can see it in the change parameters. I'll just add that to my toolbar so I can easily find it. And then I have it shown in here. You can see the length. If I were to go in here and change it, it would change on the model. Well, it seems that for some odd reason, dimensioning that line has caused some artifacts to show up here in the gunwale. And that's kind of the problem with these interconnected models. But it doesn't matter right now. I can fix it later, or I can recreate the gunwale because I have the bodies that I need for that. So for now, I'll just hide it because I'm not going to use it anyway. Now, for this new house, I want the house to intersect with the cockpit, more specifically the line down here. Let me just turn it around. Oh, let's hide that sketch because I'm not going to need that one right now either. And then let's disappear the deck house. See, the line down here, I want that to intersect with the new house. And I can do that by creating a work plane. I can't just create a sketch because this is a curved surface and that doesn't really work. But I can create a work plane by taking a plane at an angle, and I want it to match that line, and then I want it to have this direction here. There we go. Now I can create a sketch on this work plane here. In this sketch, I can now draw as I usually do. I'll just start out by taking a line from here, from that direction. Instead of specifying a length, I'll call it old house half width. That sets the length. I can then change the direction, but I wanted to go this direction here. And then I'll continue with the line this way, and I'll call that house length a parameter that I've already specified, which means if I change either of these parameters anywhere, then the lines on the drawing will update. You can see it goes there, and I can only change the direction. And I need to leave the drawing tool here and just have a look. Yeah, I want that. Just need to finish that one here. There we go. And I can create the rest by doing a mirror of this line, that line. Seems that my mirror line is missing. Let's bring that one out. Baseline. There we go. Mirror line here. There we go. And then we have the complete house. Now, if I change any of the parameters, then this will update. And now let's create the house by, oh, I need to finish the sketch first. There we go. By extruding this figure here. Extrude that. Oh, what's happening here? Oh, that's because I'm trying to select it up here where it's hidden below this hole. So I need to go back here. Might want to change the viewing direction a bit. There we go, and that one. And I want to extrude that of a distance of house height. And I want that not as a cut, I want that as a new body. There we go. Now if I enter the menu like this, and then find the house height here and change it from, let's say, that's a 500. Let's go wild and go a meter. And there we go, the drawing updates, which means I can experiment a bit with the numbers here and everything will just adapt, which makes things rather more easy than having to redraw things all the time. And that would be the smart part of parametric design. While I was at the boat, I decided to get a few measurements in order to get closer to the real dimensions of, for instance, the cockpit and the house structure as it is, and maybe even be able to copy the camber or the curvature of the deck so I can recreate it on this drawing. That's not going to be easy, but I'm going to give it a go. Anyway, I think I'll stop here for this time. And please remember that you can access this model and the drawings are used to create it via my Patreon page, and that's whether you're a paying member or not. There should be a link on screen now. Thank you for tagging along, and please leave a like and do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. I hope you'll tag along again next week, and I hope you have a good one until then.